Where are all the Jews? The question that keeps us all up at night. So, there was a diaspora and stuff. Did you know that there are Jews in India? Wow. And there are a bunch. Wow. They're the Baghdadi Jews, the Paradesi Jews, B'nai Israel, B'nai Menashe, the Nagercoli Jews, the Chennai Jews, the Telugu Jews, the Goa Jews, and the group that we'll be talking about today, the Cochin Jews.
אז אתה קוצ'יני משני הצדדים, אני מניח? אוקיי. ההורים שלך נולדו פה או?
נולדו בקוצ'ין.
אוקיי. מתי הם באו?
הם באו ב-52-3.
אוקיי. מה אתה עוד עושה בבית? אתם נשואים?
כן.
אוקיי. מה אתה עדיין עושה בבית שזה קשור לקוצ'ין?
אשתי עושה רק מאכלים קוצ'ינים.
The Cochin Jews, also called Malabar Jews or Cochinim, are a part of Malayalam-speaking people from the Cochin region of South India, which is now part of the state of Kerala. They are the oldest Jewish community in India, dating back between 2,000 and 2,500 years. The traditional account is that sailor Jews arrived in India during the reign of King Solomon all the way back in the 900 BCs, and that some refugees came to live in India after the destruction of the First Temple in 587 BC. It isn't until the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE or AD that there are records of numerous Jewish settlers arriving at Cranganore. Listen. I apologize for every pronunciation in this thing. And B, I don't know why I'm pretending that our year measurement isn't Jesus-centric by calling it CE, so I'm just going to call it AD. But, speaking of Jesus, there are some Christian accounts of St. Thomas coming to India in the 1st century to convert the Jewish community there, and that they became the Nasrani community, which is kind of sad to me, and I hope they come back. Benjamin of Tudela, who was one of those old-school world traveler chronicler types, visited Kollam on the Malabar coast in the early 12th century. He wrote, "Throughout the island, including all the towns thereof, live several thousand Israelites. The inhabitants are all black, and the Jews also. The latter are good and benevolent. They know the law of Moses and the prophets, and to a small extent the Talmud and Halakha." Cool. The oldest known gravestone of a Cochin Jew dates to 1269 Christ era after death, and it is in Shendamangalam. A small town where a synagogue was later built in 1614. Anyway, there was a crazy flood in 1341 which caused the dominant regional port to move from Cranganore to Kochi, and some Jews went with it. And after the attacks on some Jews in 1524, the rest of the community went with. Despite the attacks, India, like China, is one of the few places Jews have been able to live without documented instances of anti-Semitism. The attacks in the 1520s were only a local conflict over control of the pepper trade, and had little to do with religious differences, as far as I can tell. And for the skeptics, I challenge you to live somewhere for 2,500 years and never get into a violent confrontation with your neighbors. You can't. It doesn't happen. The Cochin Jews actually had great relations with Indian rulers, as documented by a set of copper plates known as Sasanam, which are written in Tamil, and were given from King Bhaskara Ravi Varma to Yusuf Rabban, describing the rights and permissions of Jews to live, build synagogues, and own property in Cranganore as long as the world, sun, and moon endure. Which is dope. The dating of these plates is hotly contested. The date inscribed is 379 Anno Domini, but according to the preeminent source, Narayanan, they correspond to the reign of a king who ruled between 962 and 1021 AD. While this would set the date of the agreement much later than the inscribed date, Narayanan, in a 2004 paper, wrote, "It is evident from the language itself that these Jews were not newcomers to the land in the period of the Kerala kingdom, over the destinies of which Bhaskara Ravi Varman presided, nor were the Jews of Muikode mere birds of prey and passage. The language of the plates certainly proved that they were present in the midst of the local people for at least several generations, if not centuries." I got that from Wikipedia, but the paper is in the description if you want to check my sources or learn Buddy's first name. With this guarantee, they lived good lives on the subcontinent, interacting with other Indians as empires rose and fell. The Cochin Jews didn't taste discrimination until the Portuguese showed up in Cochin in 1501, where they established a fort in 1502 and a viceroyalty after that. The Portuguese came following a new group of Jews, known as the Paradesi Jews or Foreign Jews. After the Umayyad Caliphate and eventually the Emirate of Granada collapsed, the Jews and Muslims of Iberia had it rough, to say the least, because of the Inquisition. These Iberian Jews were expelled from Spain after the 1492 Alhambra decree and from Portugal following the 1496 Edict of Expulsion, upon which they diasporaed all over the world. Again, many of them were drawn to the erstwhile globalist communities in India, united as they were in their cultural Bolshevism. The Paradesi Jews moved in and built their first synagogue in 1500, and everything looked good. Yet, despite their shared Marxist hatred of religion and religion, the two communities began to grate against each other over the years. Even though these new Jews were Sephardi and gradually intermixed with the other Jewish communities in India, like Yemeni or Iraqi Jews and to a lesser extent the local Dravidian population and already quite Dravidian pre-existing Jewish population, this was the 1500s and a Portuguese viceroyalty, so the newcomers were called white Jews and the oldcomers were black Jews. It's pretty typical of the times, but it's still cringe. So the Paradesi show up and they claim Malabar lineage. They argue over who was the true inheritor of the thousands of years of Cochin Jewish history, even though it's obviously the black Jews. The white Jews were mainly Portuguese, after all. But somehow they got the copper tablets eventually, and the communities grew to dislike each other. To make matters more confusing, along with the Paradesi Jews came Meshucharim Jews, who were freed Jewish slaves of African descent, making up a third group. These Jewish groups adopted elements of the Indian caste system, forbidding intermarriage, although it still happened, between white and black Jews, and the white Jews making the Meshucharim sit in the back of the synagogue. This caste discrimination lasted until the 1930s, when Indian nationalist Zionist Meshucharim descended Abraham Barak Salem, who is known by some as the Jewish Gandhi, used satyagraha to break down the divisions in Cochin Jewish society. Shoutouts to you, Abraham Barak Salem. Salute. So, a bunch of other stuff happened that I'm going to gloss over for time. The community sided with the Dutch over the Portuguese and were then massacred by the Portuguese when the Dutch lost. They interacted with the other Indian Jewish communities, of which there are many, referred to the beginning of the video. They have their own unique dialect, Judeo-Malayalam, which is one of 2 Dravidian Jewish languages. It has similar grammar and syntax to other Malayalam dialects and is written in the Malayalam script, but with a large number of Hebrew loanwords that have been adapted to the alphabet. It's very interesting, even to a non-languageologist like myself. But I'm wrapping up here, so I'll just include a video of someone speaking it in the description. Peep that.
ഷലോം, എൻ്റെ പേര് തവൻ ദുബൈ യഹൂദി. ഞാൻ കൊച്ചങ്ങാടിക്ക് സമീപമുള്ള എറണാകുളത്ത് ഇപ്പോൾ വസിക്കുന്നു. ഞാനിപ്പോൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് യഹൂദ മലയാളമാണ്, അഥവാ ജൂത മലയാളം.
Today, most of the community has moved to Israel. There are about 8,000 or so in Israel, with less than 100 remaining in India, which is definitely sad to me. Modi wants good relations with Israel as part of their weird anti-Islam Axis of Evil boys club, so things are okay right now. But in stoking anti-Muslim hatred, people do come for the Jews. Remember just how similar Islam and Judaism are. Yes beef, no pork, weird hats. Anti-Semitism is on the rise in India, but not like Islamophobia is, and I do feel like it's just a side product. But now the big question. Is it foo? And the answer is, not at all. There is good genetic evidence for them and other Jewish groups of India having maintained their Semitic genetics through the millennia, while picking up considerable admixture from the peoples of the Indian subcontinent. So, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. This video brought a tear to my eye, because it's the last guy maintaining the temple talking about leaving too and going to Israel. And that's kind of heartbreaking. But at least the community will survive, even if it's not where they're from.
I cry every Shabbat and or holidays. I cry in my heart. I'll keep my heart over here and then go. Always I love India, but it's inevitable. One day or tomorrow I have to leave this country. Not because of the discrimination, but because as a Jew. Because to live, to be as a Jew. Manna wale arim ragle me basar shalo.
In conclusion, there are Jews. There. Thanks for watching.